Have you ever stopped to think that maybe, just maybe, everything you think makes you, your job, your history, your relationships, is actually a trap? Today, we're diving into 4 really powerful philosophies that are going to challenge everything you think you know about who you are. This is a guide to not just finding yourself, but actually creating your own reality.
I mean, think about it. We all do it. We build our identity around our thoughts, the roles we play, maybe even what's in our bank account. But what if all of that is just a huge case of mistaken identity? What if the real you is something else entirely?
So that leads us right into our first big idea, this trap of identity. The whole argument here is that a lot of our suffering, our anxiety, it comes from identifying with things that are constantly changing. So the goal, interestingly, isn't to build a better identity, but to first start dismantling the false one we've been carrying around.
And to really get this, they use a beautiful metaphor, the lotus effect. Just imagine that through life we pick up all this informational dirt, our thoughts, our feelings, all the social roles we play. And this stuff clouds who we really are. The skill to learn then is how to let all that dirt just slide right off, so you can remain unstained, just like a lotus flower that grows in the mud but stays perfectly clean.
And here they are, the usual suspects, right? The mirrors we look into and think, yep, that's me. But our bodies change, our jobs come and go, our money goes up and down. There's this practice called niti-neti, which literally means not this, not that. The idea is to realize you're not these things. You're the consciousness that's experiencing them. Huge difference.
Okay, so let's say we've wiped the slate clean. Now what? How do we start to build a self? Well, let's take a look at a really old-school historical model. It's all about structure, discipline, and something that puts the group way ahead of the individual.
So this table breaks down the core of what Oswald Spengler described as the Prussian ethos. It's this vision of a self that isn't defined by personal wants or desires, but by a really deep sense of duty and service. It's about self-denial for a cause that's way bigger than you. In this worldview, your character is literally forged in the fires of obligation. Now, the psychological trade-off is pretty obvious, right? You're suppressing your individual desires for the good of the whole. It's a tough path, but a powerful one for finding meaning.
And this is where you really see the clash of ideas. For the Prussian, work wasn't just a job. It was a beruf, a calling, a moral duty you owed to society. That is worlds away from the modern view, where for a lot of people, work is just a tool to get rich. These are 2 totally different blueprints for how to build a life with purpose.
All right, now let's pivot. We're going to jump from that historical model to a much more modern, psychological one. And instead of focusing on duty, this approach is all about being effective and pulling together all the different parts of our intelligence. So, there's this psychologist, Robert Sternberg, who came up with this really cool model he called successful intelligence. He basically argued that being truly effective isn't just about being book smart. No, it's a mix. You need analytical skills to break things down, creative skills to come up with new ideas, and practical skills, street smarts, to actually make things happen in the real world. But here's the magic, right? It's not just about having these 3 intelligences. It's about how they work together in a cycle. You use your analytical brain to set your goals. Then you tap into your creative side to dream up a plan. You use your practical smarts to get it done. And then, this is key, you loop right back around to analyze how it went and make it better next time. It's a dynamic system for getting literally anything done. And look, this isn't just some textbook theory. It's happening right now. Just think about the tools we have. This slide shows how AI can be your personal tutor, your brainstorming partner, your research assistant. It's a perfect example of how technology can literally boost our own intelligence, making that whole cycle of learning and doing faster and better than ever before.
Okay, so we've talked about stripping away the false self and then building a disciplined, intelligent one. But is that it? Is being super effective inside the system enough? Or can we actually start, changing the system itself?
And that question throws us headfirst into probably the most out there idea we're going to talk about today, chaos magic. Now hang on, this isn't about wands and fantasy spells. It's a really pragmatic psychological system for using the power of your belief and your will to literally influence probability.
And this right here, this quote, is the key to the whole thing. The central, revolutionary idea of chaos magic is that belief isn't something you have, it's something you do. It's a tool. You can pick up a belief system, use it to get a result you want, and then you can put it back down. You're temporarily adopting a framework that helps you achieve your goal.
So how do you do it? Well, the system gives you a kind of color palette for your will. It breaks down your intention into these 8 colors, and each one is tied to a basic human drive. So by choosing to focus your will through one of these lenses, like say using green for social connection or blue for learning, you can channel your intent with way more focus and power. Okay, I know what you're thinking. How on earth is this supposed to actually work? Well, one of the key concepts they pull from is called morphic resonance. The basic idea is that similar patterns, like thoughts or actions, create a kind of invisible field of resonance. So by aligning your own thoughts with a pattern you want, you sort of tune into that frequency, making it more likely that the outcome will happen. It's a way to think about influence beyond simple cause and effect.
All right, we've gone from the personal to the will. Now let's zoom all the way out. Way out, to a cosmic scale. What if all our personal growth isn't just about us? What if it's part of a massive, universal evolution of consciousness itself?
Get ready for this, because it flips everything on its head. This is the core idea from the philosopher Sri Aurobindo. He said that consciousness isn't something that comes from matter. Nope. Matter is just a form of consciousness that's, well, kind of asleep. The entire universe is on this epic journey of consciousness slowly waking up, and humanity? We're a critical step, but we are not the final destination.
So if we're on this cosmic journey, what does the map look like? Well, here it is. This is the proposed roadmap. We start down at the bottom with our ordinary mind, the one that loves to analyze and separate everything. But from there, the path goes up, through more and more unified ways of knowing. From the higher mind that sees the big picture, to the intuitive mind that just knows without thinking, all the way up to the ultimate goal, the supermind.
So what exactly is this supermind? It's the destination. It's a state of consciousness where all the divisions just dissolve. The line between you and me, between thought and reality, between will and action, it's gone. Now for Aurobindo, this wasn't some mystical fantasy. He saw it as the next logical evolutionary step for humankind, a step that would give us the power to completely transform life on this planet.
Okay, deep breath. We have been on a wild ride. We've gone from shedding our identity, to building discipline, to sharpening our intelligence, to wielding our will, all while keeping this massive cosmic evolution in mind. So how in the world do we weave all these different threads together into one path?
We've looked at 4 really different answers to that big question we started with. One path tells us to look inside and let go. Another tells us to build an iron will through duty. A third gives us a modern toolkit to be effective. And the last one invites us to literally become co-creators of reality. They seem like they totally contradict each other, but do they?
And this is the real secret, the ultimate takeaway. True mastery isn't about picking one of these paths and sticking to it. It's about integration. It's about using the discipline of that Prussian model to achieve the goals you set with your successful intelligence. It's about using the self-awareness from the Lotus effect to wisely guide the focused will of chaos magic. They're not competing ideas, they are all tools in your personal workshop.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. Maybe this whole quest to find yourself is actually missing the point. What if your true power isn't in finding who you are, but in realizing that yourself isn't some fixed thing to be discovered? What if it's a dynamic process that you have the power to consciously create, right here, right now, in every single moment?